North Korea looks like the most predictable dictatorship in Asia. But if Kim Jong-un died tomorrow, the first hours could become dangerously unpredictable. Not because Pyongyang has no powerful people. It has many. The problem is different. Who gives the first order? Who confirms the death? Who controls state media? Who calms the military? Who speaks to the nuclear command? And before the outside world even knows the full truth, who makes the system move in one direction? Most people see North Korea through drama, threat, or palace gossip. Korea Radar looks at the structure underneath. If you want North Korea, South Korea, and the Korean Peninsula explained through power, institutions, and regional consequences, subscribe to Korea Radar and share this video with someone who usually sees Pyongyang only through headlines. The succession question matters now because North Korea is no longer just a poor, isolated state with a ruling family. It is a nuclear-armed state. It has written nuclear policy into law. It has tied national survival to nuclear deterrence. It has redefined South Korea as a hostile state. And South Korean intelligence has recently treated Kim Jong-un's daughter, believed to be Kim Ju-ae, as a more serious succession signal than before. But here's the open loop. A visible daughter is not the same thing as a completed succession system. That difference could decide what happens if Kim Jong-un suddenly disappears. North Korean succession is not normal politics. In most countries, leadership transfer follows a constitution, an election, a party vote, or a public legal process. North Korea is different. It is built around the Kim family's bloodline mythology. Power does not only come from title. It comes from the story that the Kim family is the center of the state. That story has survived 3 generations: Kim Il-sung, Kim Jong-il, Kim Jong-un. Each transition carried risk. But each also had time, propaganda, elite management, and fear behind it. Kim Jong-il was prepared for years. Kim Jong-un's rise was faster, but the system still moved to protect the bloodline. If Kim Jong-un died suddenly, the state would face a different test. Not simply who is next. The real test would be whether the party, the military, the security services, and state media all agree on the same answer quickly enough. That is why the first 72 hours would matter more than the funeral. You may be thinking, isn't the answer already Kim Ju-ae? Maybe, but that answer is not confirmed by Pyongyang. South Korean intelligence has assessed that the girl believed to be Kim Ju-ae is being positioned as a successor. That is important. Her public appearances have not been random. She has appeared beside Kim Jong-un at missile events, military-related visits, and symbolic state moments. That matters because North Korea does not display the leader's family casually. Images are political. Seating order is political. Who stands near the leader is political. Who appears beside weapons is especially political. So when a young daughter appears repeatedly near missiles, soldiers, and elite events, analysts notice, but caution is necessary. North Korea has not publicly announced her as heir. She has not been shown independently running a party meeting. She has not issued state instructions. She has not been publicly given a supreme title that settles the matter. And she is still young. So Kim Ju-ae may be the future symbol, but if Kim Jong-un died tomorrow, she might not be the person actually running the machine on day one. That is the key distinction. The face of succession and the hands of power may not be the same. This is where Kim Yo Jong matters. Kim Yo Jong is Kim Jong-un's sister. She has been one of the most visible members of the ruling family. She has issued hardline statements toward South Korea and the United States. She has played a role in propaganda and external messaging. And because she is part of the Kim bloodline, she carries a legitimacy that ordinary officials do not. But her position is complicated. At different times, her formal institutional visibility has shifted. She may appear powerful in statements, but North Korean power is not measured only by public anger or media attention. It is measured by access. Access to Kim Jong-un, access to party channels, access to the security organs, access to the propaganda system, access to elite loyalty. If Kim Jong-un died suddenly, Kim Yo Jong could be useful as an emergency stabilizer. She could protect the bloodline narrative. She could speak for the family. She could help present Kim Ju-ae or another heir as legitimate. She could become part of a regency-like arrangement. But that does not mean she is confirmed as the next ruler. North Korea's elite structure remains male-dominated. The military and party old guard may accept her as a crisis manager more easily than as supreme leader. That difference matters. A regent is not the same as a ruler. A spokesperson is not the same as commander. A family insider is not the same as the person every armed institution obeys. And in North Korea, obedience is everything. If you're still watching, this is the deeper issue. Succession is not just about one daughter or one sister. It is about whether the party, military, security services, propaganda system, and nuclear chain of command move together. Subscribe to Korea Radar because this channel explains the system behind the headline. Now look at the elites. North Korea's senior party officials, military commanders, and security chiefs are not background characters. They are the machinery of survival. They decide whether orders are transmitted. They decide whether local units stay calm. They decide whether the border remains stable. They decide whether state media speaks with one voice. They decide whether a young heir becomes real power, symbolic power, or a tool for someone else. That is why a sudden death would not automatically mean collapse. This is a common mistake. Many people assume that if Kim Jong-un disappears, North Korea instantly falls into chaos. That is possible only under certain conditions. But authoritarian systems are designed to survive shocks. They prepare emergency lines. They control information. They restrict movement. They monitor elites. They use fear to prevent open disagreement. They move quickly to create the appearance of unity. So the more realistic first response may not be visible chaos. It may be silence. State media may delay. Officials may disappear from public view. Border security may tighten. Military units may receive internal instructions. Elite meetings may happen behind closed doors. Then, when the system is ready, Pyongyang may announce a polished version of events. That is how closed systems try to control uncertainty. But silence can also be dangerous, because outsiders cannot easily tell the difference between controlled silence and internal struggle. Seoul would watch for signals. Washington would watch for military movement. Beijing would watch border stability. Tokyo would watch missile units. Moscow would watch diplomatic openings. Every small sign would matter. A missing official, a changed title, a new phrase in state media, an unusual military meeting, a border alert, a sudden display of Kim Jong-un, a sudden statement from Yo Jong, a funeral committee list. In North Korea, lists can be maps of power. Who appears first? Who stands closest? Who is absent? Who is named with which title? These details can say more than a speech. But there is one layer that makes this succession question far more dangerous than a royal drama. Nuclear command. North Korea's nuclear status is not a side issue. It is central to the state's identity under Kim Jong-un. North Korea has declared itself a nuclear weapons state. It has passed laws around nuclear use. It has made nuclear force building part of its basic state policy. So a succession crisis would not be only about who sits in the leader's chair. It would be about who controls a nuclear-armed state during uncertainty. That is why Seoul cannot treat succession as gossip. South Korea would not only ask, who is the next Kim? It would ask, are command lines stable? Are missile units calm? Is the military receiving one chain of orders? Is Pyongyang trying to signal strength through a weapons test? Is the North Korean leadership using external tension to create internal unity? This is where succession becomes regional security. A power vacuum in an ordinary dictatorship is dangerous. A power vacuum in a nuclear dictatorship is something else. The most dangerous scenario is not necessarily open civil war. It may be a nervous leadership group trying to prove control. A new or temporary leadership could decide that the safest move is to look strong immediately. That could mean harsh language toward South Korea. It could mean a missile launch. It could mean military activity near the border. It could mean cyber operations. It could mean a staged display of unity around the Kim family, not because war is inevitable, but because insecure regimes often use strength signals to prevent internal doubt. This is the part many succession videos miss. The first audience may not be the outside world. The first audience may be North Korea's own elite. A new leadership arrangement would have to tell party officials, the center still holds. It would have to tell commanders, your orders are still legitimate. It would have to tell security officials, watch for disloyalty. It would have to tell citizens, the bloodline continues. And it would have to tell foreign governments, Do not test us. That is a lot to manage at once. Now bring South Korea into the picture. For Seoul, the nightmare is not only that Kim Jong-un dies. The nightmare is mixed signals. One signal says calm, another signal says mobilization. One official speaks softly, another issues threats, state media shows mourning, the military shows readiness, a young heir appears, an older official speaks. Kim Yo Jong releases a statement, China moves near its border, the United States raises surveillance, Japan increases alert levels. Suddenly, succession becomes a regional coordination problem. Seoul would need to avoid panic. Washington would need to avoid misreading. Beijing would want stability. Tokyo would want missile risk clarity. And Pyongyang would want to prove that nothing has changed, even if everything has changed. That is the real secret, not only the successor's name. The system must make uncertainty look like continuity. It must turn a private crisis into a public ritual. It must make elites obey before citizens ask questions. It must make the military wait before anyone overreacts. It must make a nuclear state look stable even when the leader at the center is gone. So who takes North Korea if Kim Jong-un dies tomorrow? The honest answer is this. The public face could be Kim Jong-un, especially if the regime has already decided to continue the bloodline through her. The emergency manager could involve Kim Yo Jong, especially if the system needs an adult family figure to protect the transition. The real stabilizers would likely include party elites, military leaders, and security officials who can keep the state functioning. And the most important institution may be the one that can align all of them quickly. Because in North Korea, power is not only held, power is performed. The people must see unity. The elites must feel fear. The army must receive orders. The propaganda system must speak clearly, and foreign enemies must be warned not to test the transition. That is why Pyongyang's succession secret is not simply hidden in a family tree. It is hidden in the machinery around the family, the party, the army, the security services, the propaganda state, the nuclear doctrine, and the elite bargain that says everyone survives if everyone obeys. Here are the three things most people miss. First, Kim Jong-un may be the strongest public succession signal, but North Korea has not officially confirmed her as heir. A visible symbol is not the same as immediate command power. Second, Kim Yo Jong matters because she may help stabilize or communicate a transition, but that does not automatically make her the next supreme leader. Third, the biggest risk is not just who inherits the throne. It is whether North Korea's party, military, security organs, propaganda system, and nuclear command stay coordinated during the first hours of uncertainty. Write your view in the comments. If Kim Jong-un died suddenly, which power center would matter most first? Kim Jong-un, Kim Yo Jong, the military, the party, or the security services? And subscribe to Korea Radar if you want sharper, cleaner analysis of North Korea, South Korea, and East Asia without rumor-driven exaggeration. North Korea's next leader may be a person, but its next crisis would be a system test.